stream will start soon. All right. Hello. Oh, forgot the door. All right. Hello, everyone. Go ahead and feel free to say hello in chat. This is just a live stream that I'm doing, sort of getting draft fever. Brent's not a huge mock draft guy. Doesn't enjoy him that much. I enjoy him a lot. So, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter, social media about what the Bucks are going to do. So basically, what I'm going to use the Draft Network's uh, draft machine, and we're just going to go ahead and go through. We're just going to go through the draft, and I'm going to take some input from you guys, and we'll talk back and forth, and we'll just see how this goes. This is just for fun. This isn't going to go out on a pod or anything. This is just going to be us, and it'll be on, of course, YouTube if you want it and want to look at it later. But so let me get to the Draft Network. And let's see. All right, let's do this. So, how is everyone? Go ahead and fire up in chat. Are there some players? Let's start early. Are there some players that you're looking for? That think there's positions of need early? Are there, where do you think the Bucks are you think they should look at? Like right now, the linebacker situation is pretty dire, and so it's a cornerback situation. But by the end of free agency, it might be totally different. So we're going to treat this as of right now. And let me get to the Draft Network here. Logging in. How's the sound? Can everyone hear me? Sound good? Everyone hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Create a new mock draft. And I'll go through and I'll tell you what the teams have picked before, and if you've got ideas of players, I'll sort of tell you who's gone off the board and stuff. I do actually have uh, the software now to sort of do this on Twitch, and I can show multiple screens, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. So maybe like next week we can do one where I can have like the mock on there and then a picture of me and then like the chat on the other side, and we can go through it. But I am taking the Buccaneers, obviously, and we're going to do 7 rounds. We're just going to do normal speed, and we're going to do manual. If you guys haven't tried this mock draft machine by the Draft Network, it's really cool. I like to use the I'm not sure what they call it, but there's a biggest need category you can put on, as in like the machine just doesn't draft compared to whatever the big board is. Like the Bucks at 5, the best player left is a wide receiver, so the Bucks will take. It doesn't do that. It's worked out where it's it does a position of need. So it works out really well and for going for authenticity and for other teams in that. And the more you do it, like even the Bucks at 5, I've seen 7, 8, 9, 10 different combinations. And here we go. So we got Nick Bosa to the Cardinals, no shock. Uh, Josh Allen to the 49ers. We got Jawan Taylor, the tackle out of Florida, going to the Jets, and just as you said there, uh, John C's Bay, Devin White, linebacker, has gone to the Raiders at 4. So with edge linebacker needs, I think interior defensive line is a need. I am not, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to draft a running back or a wide receiver. If you want me to explain those, go ahead and say so in chat, and I will. I think both of those are like the Bucks should stay away from them at all costs in the draft. Of course, cornerbacks a need, but we're here at 5. So let's go to available players and see what's going on. All right, Quentin Williams, the guy that I think I have selected almost every single time in every draft because he's there. A lot of people say he's the best prospect in the draft, interior defensive lineman from Alabama. uh, can basically make Gerald McCoy obsolete or a luxury uh, if the Bucks find themselves that he won't restructure and they need salary cap room and they can't find a trade, or they can trade him or they can cut him. It just gives them more freedom and a lot less draft capital, there at the defensive tackle position. Then for edge, they got Rashawn Gary out of Michigan there, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Uh, Montez Sweat is there, the really fast edge defender from Mississippi State. He ran the fastest time ever in the 40 at the combine. Um, Joshua Jacobs, Brian Burns, the edge. A lot of the draft guys are liking Brian Burns a lot and actually putting him over Bosa uh, and Allen as far as like his whole complete package. But he's there. We got the best tackle in the game. Uh, Andre Dillard out of Washington State still there. But and then of course there's Ed Oliver. So basically for me, this comes down to who do I like best, Quinton Williams or Ed Oliver. Uh, Montez Sweat is enticing at edge. Brian Burns is enticing at edge, but I feel that Quentin Nelson is quite possibly the best prospect in the draft, and he can play 3-4-4-3. If you think to the future as God forbid that Arians and Bowles and all those guys are gone in 3, 4 years, Quentin Williams will still be able to play defense for us. So I'm going ahead and taking Quentin Williams again in the first. And then the machine's going to go ahead and go. And it says, do you think we pick a running back in free agency? If so, who? Coleman. Well, we already have taken a running back in free agency. The guy that used to play, I don't want to get his name wrong. Starts with an E. I know it's not Edelman, but it's something like that. Somebody in chat probably knows. They can look it up for me if they want to. Uh, and I went to the Buccaneers sort of fan introductory club seating members Q&A with Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich and Chris Goodwin was there, and then the special teams coach, right? Keep forgetting, I think it's Keith Armstrong. They're all there. And it was like a Q&A. And there you go, Andre Ellington. Yes, we've already got Andre Ellington. It was basically as a replacement for Jaquiz Rogers. So he's sort of like the third down back, emergency back uh, type. Bruce knows what he can do. He was really cheap. And to that tells me that the Bucks aren't looking to spend a lot of draft capital or a lot of money in free agency on a running back. So they went and they have Andre Ellington. Bruce Arians who talked about Peyton Barber. He was extremely excited about Peyton Barber at this Q&A. Could it be smoke? Of course it could be smoke. But why? I really don't know. So with Ronald Jones getting just about 0 touches last year, I want to see this new coaching staff get his hands on him. So with the excitement Bruce Arians has for Peyton Barber, we got Rojo, who's still a huge question mark, and they already brought in Ellington. That's why I just don't think they're going to go after a back in the draft or free agency. I just don't. I think they're set. And remember, Jason Light, like Sean Wilson, who was in camp out of Duke last year, and he sort of, I think, he got injured, an injured wave, and didn't make the team. But um, there's another guy, and plus, if you do these mock drafts a lot, um, after the seventh round, like the top guys are all like wide receivers and running backs. So there's going to be another Sean Wilson out there. Um, Hang on, I will not be doing that. Thank you. Oh, what happened? I got botted here for a second. Hang on. Uh, oh, hmm. Well, it kicked me out, and I have to start over. That was weird. Sorry, I got sort of like an advert. And it's like, hey, tell us about this. You're a YouTube winner. You own this phone. You're gonna be the best person ever. So there's that. And now it's not sort of picking up my mock drafts. Open new in Chrome. Okay, we'll try this again. What do they think about BA said about Peyton Barber? Well, I think he's telling the truth. I do. Now, does that make me stupid? Possibly. If this was like BA's like sort of third or fourth year with the team, we'd have a feel if he's blowing smoke or not. But I think his excitement's genuine because he brings it up all the time. Okay, something's going on here. Thoughts on Djak's trade? Release him? Well, I'd like to trade him. Uh, and I really don't care what you get for him. Just get him out of town. Um, he's I don't know why Bruce. I'm gonna have to start over on the draft. Sorry, everybody. I don't know why BA is saying such nice things about him, and then on the talking on one side of his mouth, but Sean Jackson on the other side talking about how Jameis Winston is a guy. I don't really get it. I'm sure he has his reasons. Once again, we've only known Bruce Arians as a head coach of our team for like 2 months. We don't really know how it's going out. Oh wow, ended up being the exact same. So once again, I will be taking Quentin Williams at 1 or at 5. Okay, so we have Quentin Williams right now. And with Deshaun Jackson, get what you can get for him. Um, I don't think he's going to be back. I think he helped split that locker room and the Fitzpatrick Jameis Winston locker room. And if he really doesn't like Jameis Winston, which is rumored, who knows? But if he doesn't, he could start stumping for whoever the backup is after that. I'm sure they sat down and had a heart to heart and all this other stuff, but I just don't trust it, and I don't trust him. And try to get traded. I mean, there's multiple of reasons why Deshaun Jackson shouldn't be a Buccaneer. Pick one, and I agree with that. What's his trade value? Yeah. What is Deshaun Jackson's trade value? Uh, in a perfect world, you'd probably say like a third, but with the NFL knowing that the team wants to get rid of him, I'd be surprised. Like 6. Brown is probably more realistic, but all right, here we go. It's the second round. We've got an interior defensive lineman, Dalton Reisner, the offensive tackle who will play inside at guard if you want to. Yeah. All right. Tries. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. I didn't mean to do that. Siege Bay about hiding your method. I just pushed the wrong button. He said the word bullshit. So it asked me, and I just kind of pushed the wrong button. So here we go. Second round. We got Dalton Reisner, offensive tackle, Kansas State. Like him a lot. Uh, Also, Chris Lindstrom, probably the best interior offensive lineman. The thing with Reiser is you could kick him out of guard and then eventually move him to left or right tackle once Demir Dotson. Hopefully he was picked up today, so hopefully he can get one more year and stay healthy. But Chris Lindstrom, interior offensive lineman out of Boston College, he's sort of like the cream of the crop. He's sitting there for you. Uh, There's some more interior defensive linemen, which we don't need, such as Jeffrey Simmons, who's really good, blew his knee out. Then Dexter Lawrence from Clemson is still here. Of course, we're not going to take those guys. Now, look at this. Mac Wilson, linebacker out of Alabama, one of the big three. A lot of people aren't talking about Mac Wilson because he didn't work out at the combine. He's more known for a sort of a coverage linebacker. Uh, someone who can at least compete with the Christian McCaffreys and Alvin Kamara's in our division, coverage wise. Because Quan and Levante can't. mm, just telling it like it is. Nothing against them. Um, so he's there. Also, Greg Little, the offensive tackle at Mississippi's there. Not a favorite. And if you're looking for edge, which we are, Ja'Kai Polite has fallen down. And then the next top one, according to this, you got Chris Winovich from Michigan, the guy that played opposite side of uh, of Gary. Is it Gary or Bush? He played the opposite one of them. I think it was Gary. Or excuse me, Bush. He played the opposite side of Devin Bush. Uh, and the I guess the scuttlebutt is it's sort of it's that Gary and Bush were sort of like the cleanup guys, and Winovich would come in and sort of clean up. So his tape might not be as I don't know. I don't want to say fair uh, as good as you might think in a different scheme, but he did really well. Uh, he did really well at the combine. So I guess really our and then the highest corner we got Julian Love out of Notre Dame. It's up here. Lonnie Johnson Jr. out of Kentucky's up here, and I saw one more. It was just around here somewhere. Oh, Trayvon Mullen, cornerback out of Clemson. No, it wouldn't be fair to say he plays like David, but uh, what I'm saying is that he can cover, and we need linebackers as of now. Now, in a couple of days, if Quan resigns, sort of all this linebacker talk takes a little bit of a back seat to an edge rusher and a cornerback. But as we're sitting now, I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet and take Mac Wilson, the linebacker out of Alabama, in the second round. So we've got we're back-to-back Alabama players, Quentin Williams and Mac Wilson out of Alabama. So we've addressed interior defensive line, possibly the Gerald McCoy need, and then we've addressed the linebacker. Do I think Quan will resign? I think Quan wants to stay here. I think Quan wants to be a Buck. I think his agent has told him that he's worth around $11 million, and the Bucks don't think he's worth around $11 million, and I don't think he's worth around $11 million. So I think the Bucks probably have an offer on the table somewhere between 8.5 and 9 a year, long-term deal for Quan. Uh, but he's going to try out free agency. He's going to try out free agency, and he's going to set his market. If his market gets set at 10, 11, $12 million by a couple of teams, then Quan will not be back. And the need for a linebacker will be real. So we shall see. I think it's 80% Quan comes back. I think he's overestimating his value, especially coming off that. Like even if he was healthy, of course we would have to see, sort of like those last 10 games and where his market value would have been. But coming off an ACL injury, when you're a liability in coverage and still like to guess too much in the run fit game, um, you're just not that, Pro Bowl linebacker year in and year out. Plus, he gets injured or doesn't. Yeah, he gets injured. Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess he got suspended once, injured twice, and had one full season. All right. Unless we restructure contracts, we don't have. Yeah. We're definitely cuts are coming, Calvin. Cuts are coming. Don't worry about that. Like, they're coming. Everybody knows. But here's the sort of the caveat to that. Free agency starts Wednesday. Monday they can start their tampering period, which the tampering period has obviously already started since let's see, Foles going to Jacksonville, and Case Keenum got traded today. Obviously the tampering period has started, but they can't sign officially till Wednesday. And even if the Bucks go out and sign like three or four guys, if you've heard of them or not, small signings, big signings, whatever. I'm not really here to talk about the free agency right now, but I will. Um, they can go over the cap as much as they want, as long as by a certain date, which I think is a month away, around a month away, they're at the cap or below the cap. So they'll have a lot of things to wiggle and work with. Who will we cut? The ones everyone's been saying. Probably Brian Anger makes 3 million. Mitch Unrein makes a nice living, and he might not ever play football again because of his concussion. Will Golston's at 3 million. You could probably lose him. People are talking about Cam Brate. I would like to keep Cam Brate, and I think the Bucks would like to keep Cam Brate. Um, so Deshaun Jackson, there's $10 million. So there's players that they can let go and free up cap space. So, I mean, you can rattle off, 4 or 5 names, and they're somewhere between like 21 to 29, $30 million. So, what do I think about Thompson's safety from Bama? Nothing. I have no idea. I haven't read about him yet. All right, so now we are in the third, and this draft has broken for us. So thumbs up. We've got Caleb McGarry, offensive tackle, Washington; David Edwards, offensive tackle, Washington; and Michael Dieter, offensive tackle, Washington, all at the top of the board. The next guys are wide receivers, tight ends, interior defensive linemen, interior offensive linemen. Running backs now, Rock Ya-Sin is here, about 15, 20 guys down at corner. I'm not look. I told you I'm not looking at running back. I'm not going to draft a safety either. That's probably why I haven't really looked at Thompson. I think that's going to get addressed in free agency. And by the time we get around to safety, I mean, you got to remember, 2 years ago they picked Justin Evans. Last year they picked Jordan Whitehead, and now since they're moving MJ Stewart to safety, last year they picked MJ Stewart there. Those out of those three guys and whoever they bring in free agency, they have to make it work with those four guys. Like they have to. And you can't put more draft capital into safety. All right, so for me, this is fixing the guard spot. David Edwards, Wisconsin, or who's the other guy? Mm, Um, oh, Michael Dieter, Wisconsin. Now, one of these guys played Honey Badger, maybe. Yeah, Honey Badger, maybe. That'd be a nice fit. And I think the Bucks can afford him. They'll be able to make some moves to afford him. Everyone's talking about Honey Badger. Seems like a good fit. But if what we see every year is Jason Light is that he makes uh there's guys you never heard of. Like we never heard of Bo Allen before we signed him. No one knew who Mitch Unrise before we signed him. No matter what you think about these guys, like no one knew who Swaggy Baker was before we signed him. No one really knew who Brent Grimes was before we signed him. So there's the big names, Honey Badger, everybody knows them, but there also might be a veterans because safeties are really cheap now. Like right now in the NFL, you can get a good safety for on the cheap. So I wouldn't just pin my safeties hopes on Honey Badger. Yeah, reunite with BA. I get it. It makes perfect sense. Okay, one of these guys from Wisconsin has played guard, center, and tackle, and I'm going to figure out which one it is, and that's what I'm going to take. I think I'll be taking. I think it's Michael Dieter. Okay, yeah, I'm taking Michael Dieter. 6'6", 321 pounds, interior offensive lineman. Has played center, guard, and tackle at Wisconsin. I like his versatility. You can make him swing guard, swing tackle, and develop him. And he might be able to slide right in front of Kappa at right guard. So we're going Michael Dieter, offensive tackle, Wisconsin in the third. So let's recap real quick. Quentin Williams, Alabama. Mac Wilson, Alabama. Linebacker. Quentin Williams, obviously on defensive tackle, interior defensive line. Play him 3 tech, 5 tech, whatever you want to do. And then we have Michael Dieter, the utility guy that could quite possibly be your starting right guard, offensive tackle from Wisconsin, who also plays guard and center. Hang on, gotta let the cat out of the room. All right, we're hitting the fourth round. Anybody have any prospects that they uh, want me to look at? As far as like positions of need. I know we talked about Thompson at safety. I'm not drafting a safety. I'm not going to do it. I explained why. And then, so basically, here's what I got left, at least in my head. I need uh, a corner and an edge, and then I can double down with best player available uh, in the fourth. Well, I guess in the fifth or seventh, or I guess just the seventh, because there's no 6th round draft pick and no trades, any of that stuff. Okay, so here we got. So here's like the top of the board. And here's sort of the run on wide receivers and quarterbacks. Like the top 10 guys are all wide receivers or quarterbacks or running backs. I'm not taking any of those guys. Tight end safety. Not taking a safety. Interior defensive line. This is where it gets tricky for me. I know we got Quentin Williams, but in a 3-4, you could possibly have a defensive line with like McCoy, Vay, and Williams, or Williams, Vay, and McCoy. Those three guys with their hand in the dirt. But this guy keeps popping up, and his name is Tristan Hill out of UCF. And I thought his power and explosiveness were like top level at the combine. Um, he started under Scott Frost. The new head coaching regime came in, only ended up starting one game. He became a rotational player. But since I've already got Quentin Williams, this would be, if like I don't get Quentin Williams, this would be the guy I would have my eye on, sort of like in the 4th round for the interior defensive line. Is just Tristan Hill. I like him a lot, but I don't want to double down on interior defensive lineman right yet, because let's see, um, offensive tackle, wide receiver, interior. We need an edge guy, and there's no edge guys all the way down to Joe Jackson at Miami, huh? See, this is why you do more and more mock drafts. Um, as you start to see the way the board breaks. Now, if I would have taken an edge last round, my offensive lineman now, I had Dennis Daly out of South Carolina, would have been a guy that was up there. Tyrus Howard, offensive tackle of Alabama State. Um, Bobby Evans out of Oklahoma. Tyler Romer out of San Diego State. So, there's not, right now, it's not breaking for me at cornerback, and it's not breaking for me really at edge. So let's see what we got at corner anywhere. Joe Jackson of Miami is an interesting prospect. I think pretty much anybody out of Miami that had high stars in recruitment. I think just Miami has had sort of a really bad coaching. These guys are athletes, and I think they can play, and I think that they'll be very good NFL players. Yeah, what about CC from UF? You can get CC in the 7th. I've done enough of these where I've seen him. So you got a linebacker, David Long out of West Virginia. Tavon Conley out of Notre Dame, linebacker. Gary Johnson, linebacker. I might. Could take Montre Hardage, the cornerback out of Northwestern. He's more of just a straight nickel guy. Kendall Sheffield out of Ohio State. Isaiah Johnson, cornerback out of Houston. Derek Thomas, cornerback out of Baylor. Ugh, man. I would like to trade down, please. All right. You know what? I'm just going to do it because this is the way the board broke for me this time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Tristan Hill out of UCF. So, not ideal. I know I'm doubling down on interior line. I know I need an edge, but I think the edge guys that are up on the board will be there next round. I know I need a cornerback. I'm not really enamored with any of the cornerbacks that are sort of next up. So I don't like the value, and the best value of interior defensive line, and I'm doing it. And I'm doing it, and if that happens, I'm going to trade Joe McCoy. That's exactly what I'm doing. So it's running. He seems like a stand line like JPP would be. Who was that, John? He seems like a stand line like JPP would be. Would that be how about Tristan Hill? Let me know. I know the delay is kind of bad, so The interior defensive line is a deep, deep class. That's why I'm kind of scared about taking Quentin Williams at 5. Not scared, but there's like just so many values later in the draft. Like I told you, I like Tristan Hill. I also like Wise out of Kansas. Uh, they're just, they're guys that you can get uh, later in the draft that either like are sort of diamonds in the rough, or a lot of these guys, if you look at it, just kind of never blossomed or had bad coaching. They were. That's what I try to look for in the draft when you get to these later rounds, or guys that were 5-star recruits. See what school they went to, and then do some digging into the coaching staff and see how many players like that coach has developed. Is he a Rich Marinelli, or is he a Jay Hayes? Both defensive line coaches. All right, here we go. Round 5. Now this is second to last pick. Um, all running backs, wide receivers, top of the board. What do you know? Next guy up, interior defensive lineman. Okay, got to skip that. Running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, safety, interior defensive line. Can't do that. More interior defensive line. All right, so the cornerback Kendall Sheffield's still here. Isaiah Johnson, the cornerback out of Houston, which I talked about, like those were guys that were sort of next up in the cornerback. He's still here. Derek Thomas is still here. Trey Watson, a linebacker out of Maryland. Derek Bailey, a cornerback. I need an edge guy. I got Anthony Nelson, Iowa. Jalen Jelks, Oregon. Neither of those guys excite me at all. Oh, am I gonna, see, I should maybe, see, now that you look at it, like, I would rather have an edge guy than a linebacker, but, uh, because I know linebacker is gonna get fixed, and I just can't bring myself to, you know, I should have passed on Mac and took edge and then went offensive tackle, and now I just skipped linebacker altogether. But I can't because we need linebackers. Yeah, Scarlett's still there. Yeah, but I think Scarlett. I like the way Scarlett runs. He's talking Scarlett. I don't remember his first name. Running back out of Florida. I think his like contact, his balance through contact is great, and he runs under control. Like he's not just running full speed ahead just to run full speed ahead. Kind of like a to like maybe what Michael Pittman used to do when he was back here with the Buccaneers during the Super Bowl years. Um, I just like him. I just think he's super solid. Reminds me a lot of Peyton Barber. Oh, Scarlett has gone undrafted in most of these scenarios. That doesn't mean he's going to, but like I would say, like I would not be shocked in the least little bit if we found Scarlett in training camp as an undrafted free agent for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's gonna end up in someone's training camp for sure. All right. Ugh. Ugh. This is not good. I could take another interior defensive lineman. Mm, Coward. He had terrible. Sharif Miller, Penn State. These are all edge guys. Kyler Phillips. CC Jefferson, Florida. But these guys are all going to be there. All right. I got to pick a corner. That's what I have to do. Oh, hum, hum. Mm-hmm. I haven't really looked at these 3 corners lately. All right, we got to decide between Isaiah Johnson at Houston, Derek Thomas Baylor, or Kendall Sheffield at Ohio State. So we're going to click on Sheffield's bio first. And so not to bore you, I'll go down all the way down to the bottom, which is sort of like a recap. The information on here, like, is so good. Like, look at this. Like, and I'm sure you guys have been on the site, but like it has the guy. I'm not sure if you can see that with the glare, but it has the guy's name, has his how many stars he came out of high school, class, conference, jersey, date of birth, but then size, weight. But then it's like this is what they cover for this guy. Okay, now you gotta remember I'm in the 5th round looking at a cornerback. Man cover skills, zone cover skills, feet change of direction, ball skills, flexibility, acceleration, zone spacing, competitive toughness, run support, and tackling. Like that's all covered. Like it's not just ABC. There's sentences here. Like there's paragraphs of like what it is. But I always get down to the bottom. Um, just for a quick recap. Okay, best trait you're saying is acceleration. Okay, worst trait is competitive toughness, which means he doesn't like to stick his nose in there. His best film was USC 2017. His worst film was Maryland 2018. Red flags, none. Red flags doesn't. It's like if there's serious character issues, but mostly that's sort of an injury thing, like blew his knee out last year. Here we go. Kendall Sheffield has some attractive qualities to his game, but he's got some significant concerns that will be difficult to reconcile if hoping to project him as a starter in the NFL. Sheffield has great quickness and the needed long speed to play on an island, but his footwork, physicality, and ball skills are lacking. Uh, um, that makes Sheffield more of a long-term projection versus a plug-and prospect. His best fit may be as a nickel defender against smaller slots. Well, what do you know? We need a nickel corner, so that's good for Sheffield. I'll just look at the next two guys just to see if you know. And this is kind of how I find these guys that I like. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Or I'll find something like, yeah, this guy was a 5-star recruit, didn't play very well. A coaching change, had his best year ever, and it's all of a sudden now he's a senior. It's like, huh, like let's look into that guy a little more. All right, Isaiah Johnson, cornerback, Houston. Best trait, functional athleticism. Worst trait, ball skills. Red flags, none. Player comparison, that's new. I don't know who that is, so don't worry about it. Isaiah Johnson is a target for teams looking to develop a starting corner for year 2 or 3 of his career. Long and physical, but impressively fluid. Johnson profiles the high ceiling man cover corner who can win in the press and carry speed down the field. A wide receiver to cornerback convert. That's always nice. That means he understands route trees and what other receivers are trying to do to him. I'll get your question in a second there, John. Um, Convert with 2 years of corner play under his belt, 22 games. Johnson's foot discipline, ball tracking instincts, and press techniques are all too spotty for NFL player in year one, but he has promising eye discipline and recovery quickness to survive in man coverage. At the Senior Bowl, Johnson must prove to coaches he is a teachable as well as test his quickness against college football shiftier receivers. Let's see his measurables. 6'2", 195. That's nice. And I'm just going to check the last guy. So that was Isaiah Johnson out of Houston. The last guy I'm going to check is Derek Thomas out of Baylor. And he doesn't have anything, which happens every once in a while. You're going to run into 6'3", 193. Now, what you can do is you can go on the internet and find some other site and sort of see what's going on. But for the purpose of this live stream, let's keep it moving. We're going to go with the kid out of Houston because he's a big corner that can develop behind Hargraves, Carlton Davis, and whomever we pick up, hopefully, and we will in the in free agency. So that's going to take a little while to catch up because there's no 6th-round pick for the Bucks. All right, Johnson would be able to keep up with some of these wide receivers in this division. Yeah, exactly. That's why I took him. 6'2", 195, X wide receiver. I like things like that. Like I said, he knows how to work a route tree, what the wide receivers are trying to do to him. He's only got 22 games as a cornerback, and maybe and probably needs some more development. But what I will say, there was a tweet by Mark Cook I talked about earlier. How I went to that event, the Q&A, which really wasn't a Q&A, it was just Casey Phillips asking them questions, which was fine because you could still find out some information. Um, Mark Cook put out this tweet about how competent this coaching staff is, like competent, confident, like they all know what they're doing. It just seems that. Now we'll see, but it just seems that way, And w- when you talk to someone about a subject you know a little bit about, which we all do, we know a little bit about football. No, we can't coach it. I get it, but we know a little bit about it. But if you talk to somebody about a subject you know a little bit about, and you're talking to two different people, in about 5 minutes, you know which one knows more about the subject that you're discussing. So I think that's it's just kind of how it's lined up. That was just the overall feel. So with these, developmental guys, I know everyone's excited to see, a new offensive line coach with Donovan Smith. Even Kappa and Beninock to see what they can do, see if they can develop. It's almost like the offensive line have developed just out of sheer athleticism and experience during game day than they have sort of developed through practice, off season, and coaching. All right, so we are in round 6, which the Bucks don't have a draft. So I took a corner. I need an edge. I don't know if an edge this late is really going to help. We'll see who's there. Um, Usually, what I do here is just sort of take BPA over need. Even if it's an interior defensive lineman, if there's one I really like that's down here, offensive tackle, whoever. Uh, but I'm still like, okay, and this is what I'm talking about. I know the Bucks pick pretty early in the 7th, but here you go. Here's what the top of the draft board looks like at the top of the 7th round: running back, running back, running back, running back, running back, running back. Like all these guys aren't going to draft it. Wide receiver, running back, running back, and these running backs, uh, I always get this guy's wrong. Divine Bogo, the kid out of Nebraska that should have been at the combine. Uh, Mike Weber or Weber, guy out of Ohio State, took over for Ezekiel after he left. Elijah Holyfield had a terrible combine, running back for Georgia. Bryce Love, he was a Heisman hopeful beginning of the season. Um, James Wilson out of Washington State. Derwin Thompson out of Utah State. Benny Snell out of Kentucky. I know you've heard of him. Dexter Williams, running back out of Notre Dame. Like, and these are the top guys that get drafted. They're just not going to go. And then there's one wide receiver between them. And then after that are four more wide receivers. And this is the top of your draft board, followed by a running back, followed by another wide receiver, followed by a quarterback, running back, quarterback, running back. Like, I got to go down like 20 guys before I get to somebody that's not a wide receiver, a running back, or a QB. And I'm just not drafting them. I'm just not drafting. What do you think about Ledbetter from Georgia? I don't know. Oh wait, let me back up one. Um, I know this is live, but I know it's not about free agency. That's cool. We'll talk about it. But what are your top free agents to get? I hope for a minute. Sorry if you answered this already. You hopped off for a minute. Um, but who are your top free agents to get? I haven't even started to look into it yet, and I won't even look into it until Monday. And here's the reason why: because every day now you see that teams are starting to cut the fat, you know, like how we took off, oh god, who, Vinny Curry, like we cut him super early. Like now, like you see, like the Dolphins cut a couple of guys today. The Ravens extended their tight end. There's lots of cuts that, so if I start to look in free agency now about who I like, by Monday it's all going to look different because there's going to be about 15 to 20 guys that might be a fit for the Bucks that are just not cut yet. So you know, I haven't really looked into it. I'll be looking at cornerback. I'll be looking at safety, a cheap safety, a value safety, um, probably a tier 2, tier 3 veteran corner. I'll be looking at linebacker, probably all linebackers, and try to find the best value there. Uh, Yeah, that's probably about where our concentrate. Maybe into for defensive line. Maybe. I think Roque won't be do really good in the draft, but maybe. Edge, they just don't let him go. You're gonna pay a king's ransom for it. But like I hear D Ford's on the trading block from Kansas City. Um, and then of course guards, like interior offensive linemen. I will be looking for like that's what I mean. That's the thing. Now, if we remember, if we know one thing I should say about Jason Light is that he likes to have his team set and ready to play before he goes to the draft. Like, because you can't count out on the draft. He has like to pigeonhole himself. You can't count on the draft to fill out your roster because it just might not break that way. So, like, there's going to be an interior for offensive lineman picked up in free agency. There are going to be linebackers. There's going to be a safety. There's going to be a corner because that's the way Jason Light operates. So, we'll see. Um, What do you think about Ledbetter from Georgia? I don't know anything about Ledbetter. What position does he play? Yeah, Eric Weddle got released. Exactly. It's like he's considered one of the best safeties in the game. Are we going to be able to afford him? Well, we could if we really wanted to. Do we need him? I don't know. These will be things I'll be looking at, Monday, because those oh, Ledbetter from Georgia's an edge. I haven't clicked on him and looked at his bio yet. But I will. I will, John. Um, yeah, so back to free agency, we'll see how it goes. This is the last draft pick. I won't be looking until Monday. So now, all right, we got Carl Granderson, an edge out of Wyoming. People like Carl Granderson. He just tested bad. Uh, he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the speed. What he doesn't have is the bend. He's really stiff for an edge player. Um, Byron Cowherd, edge out of Maryland, another guy that had a terrible combine. Wide receiver, running back. Edge, Sharif Miller out of Penn State. Kyle Phillips, edge out of Tennessee. Uh, wide receiver, cornerback. Jordan Wyatt out of Southern Methodist. I might take a flyer on a small school corner here. Oh, there we go. Jordan Ledbetter, Georgia, right above CC Jefferson. Cecil Jefferson. Let's take and see what they say about Ledbetter to Georgia. If I like him, you know what? I'll take him for you, John. All right. Oh, they just have a pro and con on this. They don't have sort of a long breakdown. All right. 6'3", 277, edge rusher out of Georgia, 4-star recruit. Was born in 1997, so that makes him 22 years old. Not extremely young, but not 24. Maybe he's 23. 9, 12. He will be 23. Okay, that's good. Unbelievable frame with ideal height, weight, length, and muscle distribution. Means he looks great. Powerful, heavy-handed defender in the trenches, overwhelmed tight ends and fullbacks to the point of attack. Low pad level allows him to drop anchor and stack and shed blockers in a phone booth. That's impressive. Nasty swim move to work over the top as blockers as a pass rusher. He has powerful hands and has flashed the ability to create movement as a bull rusher. Varies his pace and can lull blockers to sleep before snapping into a plan of attack. Tough physical football player, billed as one of the defensive leaders going to 2018. Projects to inside pass rush work in the NFL, a growing role. Okay, so he could also move inside, which is nice. Mhm. Can you post the players in here? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll do it at the end. Yeah, I'll do it at the end. Um, I know he gave the Gators a lot of trouble the last 2 years. Oh, Ledbetter? Yeah. Here's the cons about him. Overall athleticism and explosiveness is average, not a true edge bender. At his best, working a linear rush path, the quarterback misses too many stop in space due to hip tightness and struggles to change direction. Range of impact on the edge in terms of perimeter and behind the line of scrimmage stops will likely be limited, which means he's not going to get a lot of tackle for losses. Stance is square most of the time at Georgia, so there could be some upside to his first step with different coaching. For now, won't threaten tackles off the snap and does not have a great pace up the arc. Pass rush wins are usually slow burn, loses control of his frame at times, can get overextended, likely limited to a rotational NFL, probably on the interior. We don't need another interior guy. We've taken him twice. I mean, we've got two already. All right. Yes, I will post at the end. Let's see. He has a spin move like the guy from the Cards Colts. Can't think of his name. Cards Colts. Yeah, who was that guy? Not Mathis, the other one. Oh, what's his name? Freeney? Talking about Freeney? He got spin moves like Freeney, and he's on the board in the 7th round. Yeah, I don't think so. But he was playing against college players. Uh, let's see. Xavier Crawford at Oregon State as a cornerback is here. Could take another linebacker. Mm, Cameron Smith corner, Rashad Felton corner, linebacker. Ugh. All right, you know what? Just for you, John, we are going to. Where is he? Did I lose him? Yes, we're going to take Jonathan Ledbetter. We're just going to do it and go with it. All right. So that's it. I'm just going to let the rest of the draft run out, and then I'll save it, and then I'll go ahead and post uh, the mock in there in the chat. I'll type it in, and then if you have any questions about uh, who, like, what about this guy? Where did he go? I can find it. Find on where he went with what team, and sort of we can figure out the thinking of maybe why or why I did not take that player. And once again, if it's a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, or safety, the reason is why is because I'm not going to draft one. Period. End of story. I don't care who it is. I don't care if Metcalf falls to the third round. I'm not drafting him. So it wasn't bad. Not my best draft, but it wasn't bad. It was a little tough in the later rounds. I found it to be a little easier. Mm. I'm thinking the best way to go is interior defensive line edge. Like that's the way to go. Yes, like we'll go defense heavy. Like that's. Hey Bruce, it's not a rebuild to reload. What do you got to reload? We got to reload the defense. Like the defense is the biggest mystery right now, with contracts and trying to figure things out. And you know, who's staying, who's going? Are they switching to a 4-3? Are they going to stay in 3-4? I mean, they talked about it last night. Like Todd Bowles is not like, yeah, we're going to play 3-4 with a lot of 4-3 under. He's like, we're going to play what we have with our personnel. I think they have a plan, but before free agency and the draft, they can't really you can't say because you're saying, well, yes, when we get this player and this player and this player, then we're going to run a 3-4. But what if it doesn't work? If it just doesn't sort of figure out. So let me go to my picks. Do, do, do. We'll save and exit. We'll name it Ren YouTube. That's my YouTube mock. Save the draft. It's saving very slowly. View my draft. Only my picks. All right. There we go. Here we go. In the first round. Try that. There we go. First round. And feel free to comment. Don't. We got. I'm a terrible speller, by the way. For spell check, everyone in the whole entire world would think I was an idiot. And let's see, I forgot to do capital W. All right, there you go. First pick, Quentin Williams. First round, interior defensive line. In the second, we went with Wilson, linebacker, Alabama. Although that right, I'm a genius. In the third, like this pick, went with Michael Dieter, offensive tackle. Wisco. Apparently that's a thing up there. You say Wisco. And the fourth round was a vanity pick, or vanity pick, but I really want him, so I took him. Probably not the best idea. Probably should have went corner. Tristan Hill, another defensive lineman from UCF. So out of 100 or so you've done, what's the common player that's been about the same? I've only done really, I've done less than 20. Like I've saved like 7 or 8, but some of them I'll get to like round 4. I'm like, yeah, I really screwed this up, and I'll just like ditch it. Yes, I think we will pick up corners in free agency for sure. A veteran corner, a value corner, or they might, they're going to make I think they're going to make one big splash in free agency. Now, if it ends up being linebacker because Quan leaving, if it ends up being an edge guy like they trade for somebody like they do with JPP, like maybe a D Ford, or it might be the cornerback. Like somebody can in free agency get like 9, 10, 11 million dollars a year. But after that, that's it. Like there's everyone else is going to be 3 million, 2 million, 4 million tops a year. With the way they cut. So, uh, teams don't let go of good corners. They just don't. So it's gonna be, it's gonna be somebody like Brent Grimes. And I think Brent Grimes was really good for the pickup. He was really good. I'm not really sure why he hit the market. Probably just didn't like him because he didn't want to cover people. What a shocker. All right, in the fifth. So I guess what you're asking is what players do I end up picking a lot, which is fair. Quentin Williams, everyone I've done I've taken him, and the ones that I haven't taken him, I don't think I've saved. I didn't like the way it figured out. Like, okay, let's pretend Quentin Williams isn't here, and I take an edge. Uh, so like I get Quentin Williams a lot. I get sort of the same offensive tackles. I get like Dieter or the guy out of Kansas State that was there in the second round, or Lindstrom out of Boston College. Um, those are kind of my three offensive linemen I've been getting a lot. And the fifth, we took, let me get this in real quick, and I'll talk more about players that I keep picking up on. Isaiah Johnson, cornerback. Is he from Houston or Houston? Boop. Yeah, let's hope Vernon can stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but right now, as it stands, and they'll address it in free agency. They'll address it. But like our cornerbacks are Carlton Davis and Vernon Hargraves. Like those are outside corners. Like that's it. you know, and then you got like uh JV and Elliott, who's not even under contract, I don't think. Like, I mean, like those are the only two corners. You could say MJ Stewart, but they moved him to safety. So that's it. Like we need corners. Linebackers, since if we're going to a 3-4, like you can count like Noah Spence as an outside linebacker if you want. But really, like healthy and under contract. Oh, Ryan Smith. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, Ryan. I always forget him for some reason. Um, but linebackers, you got Levante David, Quan's under contract. Jack Sitchy's a draft choice that has a torn ACL coming up injury. We just had to re-sign back Levante Bond, and we got Riley Bulla. I mean, that's it. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And for the last pick, which was the seventh round, was Jonathan Ledbetter on special. Yeah, exactly. Beckwith. I knew there was somebody I was forgetting. Yeah, Beckwith. Like, there's like conversations that are being having had now in Buccaneer circles that Beckwith isn't going to play ever again. Like, I remember one time, Dirk Cutter said something like, it's like you guys don't. We was talking to reporters, and he goes, "You guys don't really understand how serious this car accident was for Kendall Beckwith. It was back when he was practicing, and they were seeing if he could be activated and make it back to the team, but he had some setbacks, and and of course they're going to working his tail off, and I'm sure he was, but like, let's say he came back in 9 months and was ready to go for training camp. Probably was ready to go for OTAs. When he came out of LSU like in November, and then he was ready for OTAs. The Bucks held him out, but he was ready for training camp in what like June or July, like less than 9 months and ready to go from a torn ACL, and now he broke his ankle, and we're like this is a year, like this is 12 months, like, and we don't know. So I am not putting any eggs in the Kendall Beckwith basket. If he comes back, it'd be great. Like it really would be because then that would sort of clear up a lot in free agency, like clear up a lot in the draft. Like it was Beckwith, Quan, and Levante David, then I could just take sort of linebacker off my board and throw it in like the seventh round or fifth round. But as of now, the way we stand, this is kind of the draft. I think the draft's gonna look a lot better for us. Uh, even if we do stand pat with we are at the fifth pick, uh, after free agency, a lot of things will become more clear. Yeah, he probably would have been a. John's talking about Beckwith, and he still might be a hell of a linebacker, man. We just don't know. So anyway, I just have the draft bug. I want to jump on, see if anyone want to come here and talk draft with me. Thank you very much for. I appreciate the questions. This will not be going out as a podcast stream, so if you want to see it again or I don't want to say tell your friends, but whatever. If you're talking to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'd like to see that," go tell them to go to the PeterCast YouTube channel. I'll probably be doing more of these, mostly as I get bored. But definitely there'll be one for sure coming out right before free agency. I think I'll do one just as my last ditch pre-free agency mock, then after free agency, and then of course after free agency, mock drafts will be everywhere, and people will talk about it all the time. We'll have a whole, probably a couple episodes on the Petercast about mock drafts to Brent's ginormous dismay. But thanks for everyone for coming on and spending some time with me and talking a little bit of draft. And and by we I mean we'll see you soon. It's a golden age for Buccaneers football. Mm, we'll see.